This week on the Nightly Met, Avourneen performs. We chat with Megan Van de Hey and Heather Lacey, as well as get a look at Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill.
Hello and welcome to the Nightly Met. I'm Avery Anderson. So jumping right into our packed show today, first up is a poet, philosopher, songwriter, now an author. His first book, Moral Panic, a cyber crime novel, comes out this March. Here to join me is K.M. Ecke. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Really good. I mean, I'm really excited about this project, Moral Panic. It's my first novel, and I've been making music for like 10 years, but a lot of the ideas that I was kind of working on through my music and in a lot of the poetry and some of the writing that I was doing, I felt like I needed a story to bring some of those out, and this novel has been just a great experience.
Yeah, you're a man of many talents. You do many things. So now that you're an author, tell us more about Moral Panic. Don't give any spoilers.
Sure.
But kind of give us a general overview of it.
Well, so the title, A Moral Panic, is actually like a sociological term, which means people are trying to stir up some type of moral outrage in order to decrease some type of civil liberties. And we see this happening kind of all over the place on a lot of the spectrum of the political world right now. So that's the title, but the actual story it's a technological thriller, and it follows Tanner Moore, who is the chief technology officer of, imagine a company where Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and all the technology world is basically just in one company.
Okay.
And they kind of they're the backdrop of the whole story. But Tanner works for them, and he's creating a drone delivery service for that company.
Okay.
And he then gets fired and sent into this darknet underworld run by a vigilante secret police group that uses surveillance to hunt down their enemies, basically.
Okay. Do you think that this world in Moral Panic could ever become our world with all these groups merging together?
I think if it's a darknet surveillance nightmare. So I've taken some liberties in the sense that, like, I don't think that a group like this will ever actually exist. I hope not, at least. I think that the world that I created within this specific story is an extreme world. So I took kind of the most extreme elements of technology, politics, and ideology, and tried to find the collision of those 3 points within the story. The company I don't think would happen, and then there's a lot of media manipulation and technological manipulation that goes on behind the scenes. So if nothing else, if you're interested in learning what's possible within like a political campaign to fake and that type of stuff, especially like social media manipulation, this book can show,
kind of give
pull
you
the
like
curtain
the worst
back.
case scenario. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why write this book now? Is there any particular reason? I mean, you've done all this other stuff. Why did you choose to release it now?
Well, I think surveillance has been an interesting topic for a dramatic setting for a while. I've wanted to do something on just the surveillance world without necessarily judging it too much to come into it, because, you know, surveillance is a tool. Technology is a tool. These are things that people can use for either good or bad purposes. And I wanted to figure out what would be the worst possible usage of some of the surveillance tools that we have. And a lot of the cliches in that type of world tend to be, you know, a corporate or a governmental type of an abuse. But within the scope of this story, I created a vigilante secret police that doesn't have the kind of bureaucratic roadblocks that a government or a corporation would necessarily have.
Okay. So before being an author, you've done a lot of other stuff. One of those being Denver Flow Media, correct?
It's Dreamflow Media.
Streamflow Media.
Dreamflow
Media. I'm really struggling with words this morning.
It's okay.
So talk about Streamflow Media.
So
Dreamflow Media.
The Dreamflow Media is the company that I started a couple years ago. I've been doing media production for a couple years, I've worked on a couple political campaigns and kind of promotional content for local bands and nonprofits for the most part. And I'm transitioning it more into a publishing company right now. So that's why I've timed the release of the book and the album at the moment, because it's kind of the adjustment into more of a record label and a production studio. That's what I want to turn it into eventually.
Okay, it's kind of evolved since its beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and talk about the album more. So you are releasing this book and a musical album all
Yes.
at the same time, pretty much. So, I mean, it's not like you have anything else to do.
Well, it's been an interesting road to get here artistically. I mean, I've produced probably 6 total albums of my own work. I'll be using some of the material from those albums in upcoming releases, but this specific album is lyrically the best content I've ever written.
Okay.
And it's certainly, the way I've been describing it is that it's truth attempting to fight cultural insanity.
Interesting. Very cool. So now that you've written several albums and a book, do you think we'll ever get Moral Panic the musical?
It's possible. I do want to turn it into a film or a TV show at some point.
So is this going to be a series or just a standalone book?
I really don't want to write a sequel. You know, like I don't want to do that. But kind of the more that I've been thinking about it, I know how it would continue. I know how the story would go on. And so ideally, I would just sell the concept to like a production studio and say, this is where it goes, this is kind of, and then maybe stay on as a creative consultant or something like that. But not necessarily, I don't know if I want to stay in the world of darknet surveillance, because it's like some of the days writing some of these characters and like really thinking about some of the backstabbing and like the media manipulation that goes along in the book. It wasn't necessarily always fun to write.
Yeah, a little bit of a dark place.
Yeah.
And when you're living in that world a whole lot, it's maybe not the funnest thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can remove myself from it.
Right.
But it's certainly, you know, it's not all bubblegum and sunshine.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And everyone, be sure to check out both Moral Panic and your upcoming album, both being released very soon. All right, stick around. We will be right back with much more.
Billie Holiday is regarded as a music legend. Now her stories and life come to life on stage in Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill.
Well, Lady Day is taking place in 1959. It's one of her last performances, just 4 months before she passes away at the age of 44. It is a show about music, about her life in music, about her troubled life with drugs and her addiction and her losses and her love. It is exciting, but it's also, it can be very draining because there is a lot of emotion in it. And, you know, she had such a troubled life. I lived that life through her.
This is not Mary Louise Lee's first time, though, portraying this character or working on this show.
So I did this show 15 years ago, and what is so cool is that right now we're in the Jeffrey Nicholson Auditorium, and 15 years ago Jeffrey Nicholson directed me in this role at Shadow Theater. And this director, Betty Hart, has really taken me to another place that I never thought that I could go to, and as a woman I think that made a difference. So it made me think about a lot of different things that 15 years ago I never would have thought of.
Lady Day has ended its run at Vintage Theater, but in a partnership with the Denver Center for the Performing Arts, will play at the Galleria Theater Monday nights through April 23rd.
It's like going home. I'm so excited. I mean, I had so many wonderful memories at the Galleria Theater, which is, at that particular time, it was called Stage West. And I did not only Beehive, but I did Up on the Roof and Dancing in the Streets. I am glad that it's not just being done in Black History Month. I always tell everyone that Black history should be celebrated 365 days a year, you know, because it is a strong history that we have. Some of the stories that I tell that are humorous, I love that because that brings out the down-to-earth part of her. I'm the type of down-to-earth person that is like, oh, let me tell you this story, you know, and then make you laugh. And
Lady Day plays at the Garner Galleria Theater through April 23rd.
This week's musical guests are no strangers to our show. Today marks their 4th appearance, and I personally will never get tired of hearing them. So please welcome the amazing Irish Celtic band Avourneen. Hello, guys. How are you guys?
How you doing?
Good.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Yeah, like 4 times now.
I know. It feels like a family now.
It does. Yeah, we just keep having you guys back again and again. But it's almost St. Patrick's Day,
That's right.
so it was like perfect timing.
Couldn't have asked for better
I know.
timing.
What do
yeah.
you guys have planned for St. Patrick's Day?
It's gonna be a rodeo.
Lots of stuff. I always say that St. Patrick's Day for Irish bands is like Black Friday for people who work in retail. So it's our Black Friday coming up.
Yeah. So it starts this evening, which is won't be this evening when this goes out, but we're playing the Denver Botanic Gardens.
Oh, very cool.
For an event there, and then we're up in Boulder at E-Town Hall for a private event tomorrow. And then it's weird this year because sometimes St. Patrick's Day falls on a Wednesday or Thursday,
Yeah.
and then you can kind of spread it out. But this year it's on a Saturday, so it all just falls
One
at
day.
once. So the Friday before we're in Aurora at the She-Bean,
Okay.
and then that Saturday, I think we pretty much hit the majority of Irish bars in the metro area.
All in the
Yeah,
one day.
we're going to take
Yeah.
a tour to Irish Bar.
Yeah, we're at Ned Kelly's, we're at Scruffy Murphy's, we're at Clancy's, and we'll probably be at the Clock Tower
Okay.
that night too
Yeah.
to do some Irish-themed burlesque.
Irish themed burlesque.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well,
What's that look like?
So
Just replace the loincloths and grape leaves with shamrocks, and that's what it is.
pretty much. I've been at the Clock Tower for 10 years, so that's home, and every year they have the performers do Irish-themed acts.
Okay.
And some as simple as just they come out as leprechauns and do that. And-
This year, at least, we won't be doing any Irish themed burlesque. We're just hosting.
Yeah.
Hosting.
But-
Well, you guys are hosting this year.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Very cool. So is it a lot of driving all over on Saturday? I feel like it's a lot of traveling.
Yeah, and it's tricky because there's a science to planning it because you have to say, okay, we have a half hour to get from
Right.
Wheat Ridge to Denver and from Denver to Aurora, and I mean it's really precise.
Yeah.
So there's a
Yeah.
lot of car time to
A
get.
lot
there.
lot
of
of
setup,
like
tear
map
down.
questing and
Yeah.
Google planning, like
Yeah.
exactly how long it's going to take.
Exactly.
Very cool.
A lot of swearing at people in traffic.
What's your guys' favorite part about St. Patrick's Day, though?
I guess just the enthusiasm, because
Mm-hmm.
you know, a lot of times being kind of a niche sort of genre, it's hard to drum up a lot of excitement about Irish music, but it's kind of built into St. Patrick's Day, so we always hope that we can galvanize a few new fans.
And
through
it's
that.
strange because I don't know where they are the rest of the year, but people come out of the woodwork who know the songs, who make requests and know where to sing along and know where to clap along
Right.
in certain parts, whereas that doesn't always happen.
On a regular performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
Yep.
Sure. Do you guys enjoy that, like having audiences that are maybe more in tune with the music?
Oh, it makes, I mean, especially for the fast, stompy drinking songs,
Yeah.
it makes the performance better. They're designed to get people clinking their glasses and
And even people who don't know the music definitely bring the enthusiasm, which we always appreciate. When
Yeah.
you've got a nice, energetic crowd, it makes it a lot easier to run a marathon like we're going to.
right.
So
Obviously, St. Patrick's Day, a lot of drinking. Are you guys going to be drinking while playing?
Well,
There's a lot of places and pubs to hit along the way.
yeah, and this year, so in past years, we were at one bar for the entirety of the day. We used to be the house band at Katie Mullins before it closed, and being at one bar, it's easier to partake because you're just there all day, and
Right.
it's like, it's a little bit more difficult because you're driving around, so you
Yeah.
want to be careful.
Yeah, no drinking.
what
Right.
I've said is I'm not drinking only Guinness. That doesn't
Yeah.
count. It's like a loaf of bread in a glass.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
just having a healthy snack.
So I mean, we try to take it easy. It's a good warm up because we're at Swallow Hill at the beginning of April, and that's going to be the big marquee thing for us as well.
So with St. Patrick's Day coming up, do you guys have a favorite maybe Irish tradition or something that people don't know about that you guys do on St. Patrick's Day, individually or as a group?
Oh gosh.
Ken, you're newer to the band.
Yeah, I'm prepared for some hazing probably. Like,
Yeah,
this is my first
This is Kenny's first rodeo here.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the first time
first
doing
St. Patty's marathon for me. So
We're just going to throw corned beef at him when he's not expecting it.
it. What are you most looking forward to with doing the first St. Patrick's Day with the band?
gee, I don't know. I mean, like the crowds and the enthusiasm. You know, like they were saying. Usually when we're playing, you know, you'll get a couple people who know what's up, and a lot of people who are just out trying to drink.
Just out trying to
You know, and like then we can lure them into the fold. You know, but otherwise, it's nice when the crowd is into it. So.
And it's been cool watching just because Kenny came with a jazz background and a pop background, and just watching him learn all the songs and all the mythology behind the songs, it's been really cool to watch from the perspective of someone who's been doing it for as long as we have. So I'm interested to see his response to the craziness.
Very cool. All right, last question for you guys since we're running out of time. What are you guys performing for us today?
So we have two tunes. The first one is Follow Me Up to Carlo, which is pretty standard in the fact that it's a stompy one and it's a rebel song about Irish history. This one goes back to the 16th century, so really current events.
And our particular arrangement kind of ties back into what we were talking about with St. Patty's Day, because we always get requests for a Dropkick Murphys song that starts very similarly to how we chose to start Carlo. So it's kind of like an inside joke with us where we start doing it, people think we're going one way, and then we pull them a different way there.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. And then the other one is actually an original. It was 3 years ago now, which does not seem like 3 years ago. C and I went to Ireland together, and our hotel in Dublin was on the River Liffey, and there's a song called Easy and Slow. And there's one line that mentions the Liffey, and I just kept saying it over and over and over again, till I'm sure she wanted to stab me in the face.
Yeah, I was contemplating it.
And so after the trip, I wrote another song with a Liffey in it, so we didn't always have to go over that same line.
Are you guys going to perform that new song in the St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah, it's tricky because you that one's a slow tearjerker, which is what I tend to write for some reason. And you really have to choose your battles with those, because if there's a big crowd and they're all drunk and screaming at you, you can't be like, here are my feelings, you know?
Exactly. That's not really what they're there for.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us back. We always love to be here.
Yeah. All right, well, stick around. We'll be right back with more.
Ballerina.
Sometimes all it takes to be a dad is remembering how to be a kid again. Take time to be a dad today.
Swimming is a fun, enjoyable activity, but it can also be very dangerous if you don't know how to do life-saving skills. And so that's what swimming lessons is. It can be that extra protection against the threats of water. And so here at Aquatot Swim School, it's going to teach those little ones to be confident in the water, having no fear and anxiety. We're going to be working on basic foundational swimming skills.
When we are doing our level 3 classes, so this is our foundational class, so they will do some jumping in, turning around, and finding a wall. Swimming year-round helps the kids retain all of their swim skills that they're learned throughout their swimming lessons. So if they're swimming year-round, they are able to keep making that progress without having to track back if they're coming out and going back in.
Stand on the edge of the train station platform. Drive around the boom, gets at a level crossing. Run across the tracks between the platforms. They may not rhyme, but they're quite possibly the dumbest ways to die.
There's a million dumb ways to die. Don't let it be around buses and trains. Be safe around buses and trains. A message from RTD.
So many dumb ways to die.
Welcome back. My next guest is really a doll. She's part of Mr. Tim and the Denver Dolls, as well as a local actress, a mother, and just an amazing person. So here with me is Heather Lacey.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Avery Anderson.
Hello, Heather Lacey.
Extraordinary.
No. So although this is your first time being interviewed on the show, you've been on the Nightly Met
I have.
before with the Nightly Met Christmas special.
I have indeed.
Indeed, you.
That was a privilege.
Well, thanks for. Thank you
Really
for that.
fun night.
It was a fun night. It was a little crazy.
It was a little crazy, as
but
it always
was-
is backstage.
Yeah, but it was a fun night for sure.
Well, we had some crazy fun.
Yes. So in the group that you guys performed, Mr. Tim and the Denver Dolls.
Mr. Tim and the Denver Dolls, a very vintage Christmas show. Yeah, we
So-
enjoy doing that.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about Mr. Tim and the Denver Dolls. What is that?
Well, our company's name is Year Round Sound. We have several groups, and we are talking about adding more. We have Vintage, which is a trio of tight vocal jazz, and it's Tim and then two women, and it's very upscale. We're going to be putting a band behind that group
very
and
cool.
adding it. Yeah, so it's great for corporate events and weddings and all sorts of things. And then we have the Denver Dolls, which is our patriotic sort of Andrew Sisters group, and we do all sorts of, flyovers. We do 4th of July, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, lots of retirement homes, summer concerts, and lots of Christmas gigs.
I can see that. Like ours, the Christmas special.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so not only are you a local actress and you're busy with that, but you're also running Year Round Sound. You co-founded it.
I did with my
Correct.
partner,
Yeah.
Sarah Lippa, the amazing.
Where did that idea come from to kind of start this company?
She and I had sung in other groups for years, and we just had a heart-to-heart one night and decided that we loved singing together and loved working together and wanted to create a group where we could create opportunities for really a lot of other women in town to sing, those employment opportunities between shows, but men as well. And we wanted to really work with kind people who are easy to work with and show up prepared
I love
and
that.
who treat each other well and laugh together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that was the premise of we just want to work with good people. That's all we want to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it was a blast having you at Christmas
Thanks.
Christmas special, so I'll say thank you again for that.
Thanks,
and
Avery.
you are currently in Fun Home at Miners Alley Playhouse,
I am.
closing this weekend.
Closing Sunday.
Closing Sunday.
3 more shows.
Yep, and then you're done with it.
Done.
What's that like to kind of Fun Home, for those that don't know, is kind of the story of Alison Bechtel, based on her graphic novel, and it's a pretty intense show.
It is. It is. It's been a really great experience. This one is close to my heart. It's a great group of people. Once in a while, you get an experience where a cast feels like family, and where the director feels like a family as well. And Lynn Matteo and Mitch Samu, our musical director and director, non-respectively, are just wonderful men in the room and really meet you and listen to you, make you feel heard, collaborate with you, and guide you in a very gentle and non-judgmental way. And that is creative. And so I really feel like we were able to sit in the room and go, no, even if it takes 10 extra minutes, let's get it right. So that's been really neat. And it gives me the chills to say that. So.
And talk about, this production's going 3 times in the state of Colorado so far this year.
Yes.
But with your guys' production in particular, on one of the preview nights, 20 audience members walked out of the theater.
Indeed, they did.
And for those that haven't seen, Miners Alley is a small, intimate space.
It's a small space. I believe it's 130 seats.
Yep.
And we had our first preview, which went excellently to immediate standing ovation. And then the second preview night was actually a private party for a very conservative group. And we kind of thought that might happen.
Yeah.
But there was some vocalization of displeasure and a group walking out. But I will say the head of that group came back the next day and gave us an edible arrangement and apologized and said that, he supported us. And I'll also say that that's the important work, because those are the people that need to see this show. Because even if it's just a seed planted, that all of us are humans and all of us deserve to be listened to, then the seed is planted.
Well, and I think Abigail Kachaver's in the cast with you, and I was
She
telling
is.
her, you guys were changing their hearts that night and starting to make them think differently, and that's why they got a little uneasy.
Yes, and you will notice that sometimes there are people during the bows sitting there, not clapping, but they stayed. And they listened.
It's very true.
So.
Very true. And once Fun Home's done, you have a little bit off, and then you're coming into Sunday in the Park with George.
Coming back to the Arvada Center for Sunday in the Park with George. And my daughter, Sophia Dotson, the amazingly talented Sophia Dotson, who I'm the first member of her fan club. I'm starting the fan club. I am. I'm
the
saying
Sophia
it now.
Dotson fan club.
That's right. She plays my daughter in both shows.
Oh,
so
I
that's
didn't
really
know that.
fun.
That's so
And
cool.
Susanna McLeod, who plays our adult Allison, is also in Sunday in the Park.
So you guys are just all going over to the
it's going to be a little bit of a reunion.
Yeah, that will be fun.
Absolutely.
And the other night, I just have to bring this up because, you know, I can't let you go without talking about it. It was girls' night the other night. Did you go? Can we talk about that?
We can talk about that.
I know I wasn't invited, obviously, but.
I'm inviting you next year.
So once a year, a whole bunch of women from the theater community get together and
That's
hang
right.
out.
We try to,
I think that's
yeah.
such a special thing.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. We started the tradition last year and just kind of a non-industry talk. How are you in your
just
life?
Hanging out.
Girls' night, having drinks and talking about life. Because usually we're all just seeing each other in a professional setting, and you can't really catch up like you like to.
Exactly.
So I planned to go. I planned with all my heart to go, but that same night was industry night of Fun Home to benefit the Denver Actors Fund, John Moore's Denver Actors Fund, to benefit Dan Langhoff, who was a friend of a lot of ours. And we finished the show, and then there were so many people, so many friends to hug and talk to that I didn't get out of the theater until about 11:30.
Oh, no.
And so at that point, I just decided to call it a night. But I saw the pictures and of all my lovely friends. And
well, I just bring up because I know Stephen Burge was not the
crashed
happiest.
The party.
Well, I officially have an invite from you. I don't know about Stephen yet, but
Stephen, you're invited.
no, just me. I don't want Stephen there. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
We'll be right back with more and with a performance from Avourneen coming up. So stick around.
Hey, hero, your face, and all the old disgrace that Patrick William stormed your place. Go to the fern, grace of victory was sure. Firebrand he'd secure in 3 months. At Glenmalure with Fake McHugh Burton. Curses where Lord Kildare, Fake will do as Fake will dare. Now Fitzwilliam have a care, fall on his Starlow. Up with halberd, out with sword, on we go for Mother Lord. Fake McHugh is giving the word, follow me up to Carlow. See the swords have been a made of fashion, all the Englishmen, see all the children of the gear beneath the Burton's banner. Rooster of a fighting stock, would you let a Saxon cock crow out upon an Irish rock, fly up and teach 'em manners? Persons where Lord Kildare, Fake will do as Fake will dare. Now Fitzwilliam have a care, fallen is your Starlow. Up with halberd, out with sword, on we go for Mother Lord. Fake McHugh is giving the word, follow me up to Carlow. Saggart to Claremore, there flows a stream of Saxon gore and great to Rory Ogomore, and sending loons to Hades. White is sick, grey has fled. Now for Black Fitzwilliam's head, we'll send it over dripping red to Liza and her ladies. Curson's where Lord Kildare, Fake will do as Fake will dare. Now Fitzwilliam have a care, fallen is your Starlow. Up with halberd, out with sword, on we go for by the Lord. Fake McHugh is giving the word, follow me up to Carlow.
My next guest is incredibly talented, super fun, and one of the nicest people you will ever meet in your life, and that's a true and honest fact. She's recently performed in a world premiere musical in Texas and is now taking on the role of Helen in Fun Home at Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center. So please welcome Megan Vandehey.
Thank you.
Of course, how are you?
I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm happy you are here.
I love your couch.
I know, first time with the new couch. I'm so happy I had you two for the very first time on this couch.
Very nice.
It's different having like a sectional, because I used to have that desk and the couch, so it was like more like the late night thing.
Okay.
So I'm still getting used to like how do I talk to people on a sectional? It's just different.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. I wish it was like a hide-a-bed, so I could just like fold it out and have a place to sleep at night.
I was going to say, it does kind of beg that, doesn't it?
Like, that's the one more thing we got to get. But you just got back from Texas.
I did.
A couple months ago. Talk about what your experience down there.
It was a great experience. It was lovely to, how about this? It was lovely to gain perspective. I think that it's so good to go away and then to come back and realize what you take for granted in your own community. And so that was wonderful for me. I had a marvelous time there. They took wonderful care of me. I got a chance to work very closely with David Knowles. In fact, he lived right next door to me, the composer of the piece. And so, so David and I got to know each other really well, and that was a huge takeaway for me. But more than that, I think it was just, it was that it hit at a time when I really needed that perspective. I think it's one of those, you get mired down in your own community and you think, oh, it's got to be better or different, or maybe they're above this somewhere else. No, actually, it's the same everywhere. And that was wonderful. But it was also one of those times that I can't even tell you being away, and I've never been so proud of our community and everything else as I was watching everything that was going on back home and the way that our community rallies around people.
Because you were gone for Dan Langhoff's Celebration of Life.
Which was really, really hard.
But she sang.
I did.
You did.
David was wonderful. David composed a song, and we were able to get it on video and send it back. But yeah, it was really hard not to be there. I watched it all via the video stream, which was so lovely. But
well, and I think that goes to prove how many people he touched, because I mean, the Arvada Center was packed. It was standing room
that's
only.
So cool.
Plus people watching online. I mean, just his presence was immense.
Well, and not just Dan's. But I look at, it's Dan and Rebecca who have touched so many people in the community and are just, I mean, we're such a force. And Rebecca still is. I am blown away by her strength and her power, and just watching what an amazing mom she is.
Yeah. But so you were gone all through the night. Was the name of the musical? Right?
It was Upon a Midnight Clear.
Upon a Midnight Clear. My bad.
No,
but it was a world premiere musical, first time ever, and now you're back, and you're about to jump into Fun Home.
I am.
As Helen.
I am down at the Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center.
Colorado Springs Fine Arts, which is a beautiful space down there.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I was so excited. So we went down last night. We had a really cool opportunity. Janine Tesori was in town, and so we had dinner with her last night, which was awesome.
Yeah, that is amazing.
A little starstruck, you know, and at one point they opened up to questions and they said, you know, what does everybody have to say? And we all got very quiet.
I don't know.
Then you go,
like, can someone else talk first?
I know, entirely. But it was so cool, and she was so gracious and so down to earth, and so I think that she's so appreciative and so excited that so many people are doing the work and it's getting out there, and she kind of gave permission too, because I looked at her and I said, what are you most concerned that people will get wrong?
Yeah.
And she just said, I don't think that people can get it wrong. Yeah. So that was it was this wonderful permission to do what you want to, which was really great.
Yeah. And I think that's one of my favorite parts about Fun Home is it's just such an emotional story, and the message is so clear. It's just about love and acceptance and being who you are.
And it means so many different things to so many different people, which I thought was one of the cool parts about the piece. Nathan, our director, said beautifully last night, which I just thought it was great. He said it was a piece about figuring out how you can become an individual within a structure that already exists. Yeah. And I thought that was such a lovely way to put it. I hadn't thought about the piece that way. Yeah. So.
Love it. And this was not planned by any means, but you guys are both Helens. A Miners Alley and then Colorado Springs. But I think you responded that you can do this date, and then 5 minutes later, Heather, you responded, and I was like, well, I guess we got the two Helens on the same show together.
Perfect. Bookended it.
Yeah. So, talk both of you guys about what is it like portraying Helen, Allison's mom, in the show.
You go ahead. Well,
yeah, because you're starting.
Yeah.
So Helen is the safe character.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, whenever people walk out or vocalize their displeasure, it's never at me. It's at everybody else but me. So that's really interesting. Helen is the one holding up the ship.
Yeah.
And so every time you see my character, she is sewing something, folding something, carrying something. She is keeping the house going because she's made this deal with this man to raise children, even though she knows about his other desires.
Yep.
And so you kind of, throughout the show, forget that she's there, because all she does is really come through and fold laundry and keep her kids going and say something kind, until you get to the one number where,
Days and Days.
yeah, where you realize, oh, this is a woman and this is a person, and she's also affected by all this and going through all this too. So it's a heavy number once you get to it.
It is. Days and Days is kind of that ballad that you guys have, and it's my personal favorite song from the show because I think Helen holds so many of her emotions in
Yes.
Until really that number, and then she kind of lays her cards on the table and kind of. So what's it like getting to perform that song? I know you're just starting rehearsals for it, but looking ahead, what do you think that's going to be like?
I'm so excited. I haven't gotten through it yet without crying, to be completely honest. And I imagine you have to do it X amount of times to kind of work all of that out, and it's very cathartic. It's such a telling song, and I think it's telling not just in relation to this piece, but I think mothers in general. I think as women, I think that we are taught to sacrifice so much for the greater good of our children or our husbands or whatever. And I think that, I think you do look at your life at one point and you go, oh my gosh, all these days have disappeared, and I can't even mark the start of when it happened. I think that is a common theme for women in general. So I think that that's why that piece resonates with so many people.
I think so. Yeah, it's just the whole show is such a strong piece.
Oh, entirely.
In general, and it's so great to see a piece of theater like that, and to see the reception it's getting, and that's. Most everyone wants to see it.
It has been very positive.
Yeah, it has.
It has, absolutely.
It's been amazing, for sure. Well, they're telling me to wrap up, which is sad because I would love to just talk with both of you guys we could do our own talk show.
We could camp out here. I was going to say, we'll just, we'll make ourselves comfy.
If you guys want to stay down here, I'm sure we can arrange something for sure.
Perfect. We'll get a bottle of wine.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for coming on. So be sure to check out Megan in Fun Home at Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center, and if you can, get to Fun Home at Miners Alley for Heather, or check out Sunday Park with George at Urbana Center. Well, thank you guys both very much.
Thanks for having us.
All right, stick around. We'll be right back.
I'm Juan Arellano, and this is the Templo Futbolero. Y en esta edición las tenemos en las 65 ocasiones: El Colorado, Guadalajara, Denver, Denver, Ecke. My name is Javi Soriano, and this is El Templo Futbolero.
The Met Report has the latest on volleyball, men's and women's soccer, and so much more. Tune in every Friday at 12:30 on Comcast Channel 58 and Campus Channel 20.
Met Radio on mymetmedia.com.
Thanks for joining us on the Met Report.
Bienvenidos a su noticiero TV Met.
Thanks for joining me here on Student Corner.
It's the Nightly Met.
And welcome to MSU Denver Lab.
Hi, this is Wellington Webb, former mayor of Denver, Colorado from 1991 to 2003. I was so pleased to receive an honorary doctorate from Metro State University. It's been a great highlight of my life. And I also want to take this opportunity to say happy birthday to you on your 50th anniversary.
It's fine that other people like you. It's more important that you like yourself. And I'm comfortable with every part of me. Meals on Wheels coming to my door as someone who's housebound assures me that I'm not forgotten. They care that I'm okay. My name is Asha Ida Bell. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Welcome back. So tonight we're going to play a fun little game. We're all really nervous for it, of Word Sneak. So how the game works, ladies, is we're going to have a conversation with
Great.
the three of us. But we each have our own stack of words. These are kind of
Conversation with words.
a conversation with words in the modern age is going to be so interesting.
You think actors would be good at this?
But these are words that might not normally come into our conversations. So the goal is that we are going to sneak these words into our conversations, and the first person who gets through all of the words wins. So you guys ready?
I'm thrilled.
Okay.
Yes.
But I tell you what, I'm definitely going to make sure you get your comeuppance for making me play this game.
Oh,
Finding
don't cause
this
a brouhaha.
Finding this little place, this cattywampus little, studio
She is
it's been really, really difficult.
I can't even wait for it to speak fast.
I mean, I did have a tendency to lollygag because it was such a gorgeous day out.
I was so nervous, I was collywobbles in my stomach. I just didn't even know what I was going to do with this.
Yes, this is going so well that the clock feels like it's Wintershins, which
But
is going back.
But I'm hoping it doesn't rain today, so I don't have to get my taradiddle.
When I woke up
and
this
use that
morning,
later
though, I
today.
have to admit I was feeling a little wabbit that I didn't know if I was going to be able
Wabbit?
to get her or
That's not a word.
Yeah, you gave me wabbit, and it said this is not referring to wascally wabbit. It's a Scottish term for being exhausted, and I felt wabbit.
Well, you know who exhausts me? Politicians, because they're so snollygoster.
But you know what politicians are like? They're like bibbles who are just so annoying when they eat loudly in restaurants.
I
Just
agree.
annoying.
You know what else is annoying? When I don't know the meaning of a word. Like, for instance, do you know the meaning of the words nudisterian or Yarborough or Gartligoo?
Well, what about
well, now you're
queer?
just cheating. I can't even pronounce half of mine. If the ones I can't pronounce, can I pass off?
No, we got to get through them.
Oh.
Where are we at? Well, you know what? Sometimes people playing this game are just nincompoops.
Well, you
and
are
can't
just
even
being
get
such
through
a
it.
ratoon that I don't even know that I can handle being on this show again.
Wait, I feel like I used. Oh, well, I'm just very bumfuzzled by this whole thing.
Oh,
I don't
that's
even
a
know
good one.
I'm bumfuzzled.
Well, I'm just over here being pasiloquent, not saying much. And
Now we're silent.
I know.
we're all pasiloquent. We did it.
Because I'm reading the definitions going, I don't know what this word means. Let me see how I can work this into a...
This has gotten so boring, it's a pandiculation.
I have the opposite of priscillaquint, which is bloviate, which is, I assume, very loud. I didn't read the definition.
To bloviate.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, here's one I
But
cannot.
sometimes I just feel like I suffer from zoanthropathy.
Can you use
Now
that?
I need to know what that means.
Yes.
I believe that, has delusions that they are a form of an animal or that they have changed into an animal.
What
kind of animal?
Don't you suffer from that every morning when you wake up?
I wish I was like an owl and I could just fly through. What kind of animal would you be?
What's
What
your
kind of
spirit
animal would I
animal?
be?
Yeah, what's your
Yes.
spirit animal? Do you have a spirit animal?
I can tell you what Robert thinks my spirit animal is.
Okay.
Okay.
Robert says I do this thing where I unhinge my jaw and I like a snake and I just swallow someone whole because that's how I get rid
I
of my,
watched Alien last night, and
That's what he thinks my
Did you
spirit
just call
animal
her an
is.
alien?
I did. I'm sorry.
All right, that's it.
Can
We're
an
not-
alien be a
I wish
spirit
I had
animal
a
now?
term that I could go after you. You
Right.
Just, you're such a.
A bumbershoot, which is a Disney term for umbrella, I guess.
What's your spirit animal?
I would definitely be some sort of bird because I've always wanted to be able to fly, just like breathe in and fly.
I feel like I could see it as like a bald eagle, like just this majestic.
A bald eagle.
I'm terrified of
You need
heights.
to come up
I'm
with
so
something
scared. I'm terrified
terrible
of
to
heights.
call me back. Like, what's
uh,
the worst bird?
A dead one.
A dead one?
A dead one.
Well, that's a real Donnybrook.
I'm only down to 2 words.
Are you serious?
Yes.
You're down to what? How did I get stuck? I was rambling them off at the beginning. Then
You were telling us about animals.
You guys picked up on my darn thing. I still occasionally use it.
You know, this is just gonna. I'm just gonna leave suddenly. I'm gonna abscolate this conversation and just get it done with my last word.
You're gonna abscolate.
Abscolate.
Well,
leave
I'm
quickly.
afraid
Abscolate
of
this
running out of
conversation.
things to read, so I'm going to be a bibliophobic.
I'm gonna look like the intelligent one and not try to get the rest of my words in.
I think my last one is a term for Xanax because it just says Zerts.
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 You're like
Zerts.
It's a slang term
Those
for
are
Xanax.
Xanax mints.
Xanax
Oh.
mints.
We could all use a Zerts every now and
Zerts.
then.
Take them
You
now.
can use a Zerts.
And now a commercial for Zerts.
Can we like write a little jingle for Zerts or something like that? All right. Well, Heather's the winner of this. I think that was held our own for a little bit there.
I don't know that anyone won here.
I know we're all losers in this game.
All right, well, ladies, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you so much for playing with us today.
Thanks for having us.
All right, yep, stick around. We'll be right back. All right, perfect.
That's hard.
What is Met TV? It's the Met Report for all your latest news. Noticiero TV Met, news in Spanish. Both on Denver Channel 58 and mymetmedia.com. Tune in for the latest in sports, engaging entertainment, and more. Also check out The Nightly Met, a Tonight Show. El Templo Futbolero for all your soccer news. Student Corner. Daytime Duo, a fun daytime talk show. MSU Denver Last for some fun improv. And Otra Onda, entertainment in Spanish. All this and more only on Met TV.
At Metropolitan State University at Denver, our mission is to provide high-quality, accessible education that prepares our students for successful careers, postgraduate education, and lifelong learning in a global and technological society. Our values of diversity, access, and community help us provide opportunities for our students from all over the globe. In fact, we've just been named a diversity champion by Insight into Diversity magazine for 2016. Because at MSU Denver, we believe in transforming lives.
So as much fun as it is to interview my wonderful guests, it's just as much fun to change it up and make them interview each other. That is what we did with Heather McLean and Scott Hurst, who are currently performing in Kiss Me Kate at Candlelight Dinner Playhouse. Take a look.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Scott Hurst.
I'm Heather McLean.
And together we're in Kiss Me Kate at the Candlelight Dinner Playhouse. I play Fred, also Petruchio. And who do you play, Heather?
I play Lily Vanessa and Kate, Catherine.
Yes.
Kiss Me Kate is a musical retelling of The Taming of the Shrew, sort of. Things don't go quite as planned during the show. It's a show within a show, so you have The Taming of the Shrew in the show, and it just doesn't go as planned. I think my favorite moments of being in live theater are when things don't go the way we've rehearsed.
Oh, yes.
They're my favorite parts, when we have to improvise or ad-lib or keep going even though someone's not on stage, and or line flubs and things like that. Well, when I'm not here at the theater, I homeschool my 11-year-old son, so that takes up most of my daytime during the day, and then I'm a wife.
Well, when I'm outside the theater, I'm usually doing graphic design work, stuff like that, digital media stuff. I guess I was sort of a nerd growing up, and the theater was a way for me to express myself and come out of my shell, but I still have that side of my life that I'm still, you know, behind a computer making things look nice and stuff like that. So it's weird that I sort of have a dual life in that regard.
Oh, I can relate.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a home management expert. College for me was pretty focused. If I was a musical theater major, obviously.
Yes.
And I really cared a lot about all of my classes within musical theater. If it wasn't a musical theater class or a theater class, I just found the easiest class to take that I could just go back to rehearsing or doing something else. I often tell my mom, I said, you should have sent me to a conservatory. It would have been much better money well spent.
Right.
The college was great. I mean, I got wonderful training and worked with some great people and got lots of experiences that helped shape the performer that I am today.
Grew up in Southern California. I spent time at UCLA. I spent time in the Midwest in Iowa, and that really gave me perspective meeting theater people around the country, and everybody's sort of the same. You know, when you really get down to it, the differences are so much smaller than what really unites us. I probably goofed off a little bit too much.
See, and I didn't.
Right.
That was me. I was serious. I was going to do this. I was going to make it. And you know, I think what you said about the different kinds of people, it's all the same. You know, we're all getting trained as actors the same way. And I think when I got to college, I realized that, oh my gosh, there's a million people like me.
Exactly.
I'm from
we're not alone.
Yeah, and I'm from a very, very small town.
Oh, yeah.
Small town in Wisconsin. And I didn't have the people that had the drive like me. So when I got there, I was, oh my gosh, I'm not alone, because I felt like alone. I think Cinderella and Into the Woods is always going to be a top of contender, I guess, of mine. I think now, having gone through different experiences, being different ages throughout life, I'm getting into different roles now. I really liked Cinderella. It was lovely. It was great doing Sondheim, like you said. Love Sondheim. I like to be challenged, and that's a challenge.
At a great actor's challenge.
Yeah, and it's one of my favorite shows. So I really like that role. But last year I played Dorothy Brock in 42nd Street here at the theater. And I did not think I would play Dorothy Brock here at the theater. I didn't think I was old enough, but I found out that I was.
In 2003, I was finishing high school, and I had a trip to New York City, and I got to see Thoroughly Modern Millie, the original Broadway cast. And something about that show, I don't know if it's a perfect show, but just walking out of that theater, it made a huge impact on me. Just the singing, the dancing, everything was complete. And it's still today, after seeing Sutton Foster just do that in her younger years, it's one of my favorite shows even to this day.
It's one of my big regrets, because I lived in New York when that opened, and I didn't go. I know I did. I did. But I did see Kiss Me Kate with the original Broadway cast, and it was my first Broadway show with Brian Stokes Mitchell. It was my first show I ever saw in New York on Broadway by myself, front orchestra seats, and I just sat there in awe, because I was, a junior in college, and this is what I was going to do with my life, and I walked out, like you said, just ready to go. I've done a lot of different things outside of the theater. I have been a police officer, which is not something that everyone knows. But going through the police academy, I don't know if it was no, it was a great experience. I learned so much about myself and whatnot, and being tased and being pepper sprayed in the face and all of that, I realized that, things aren't so bad here at our theater.
Maybe my favorite experience is seeing one of my older sisters graduate law school. That was a very proud moment for me. I'm just so proud of my sisters.
Be more conservative with your heart.
What a beautiful message.
Don't give it away.
Don't give it away
so easily, and make better choices.
I think I might have to second that. I think my romantic adventures as a young boy were probably a bit too hasty and impulsive.
But then at the same time, all of those impulses and everything I've done has got me to where I am now and has made me the person that I am.
Right.
So if I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't be here.
So, Heather, down to brass tacks. Why should people come see Kiss Me Kate?
Oh, for the story, for the love, for the anger and the romance and the comedy. It's funny. It's a funny show. Great music, great dancing. I don't have to do much of it.
Gosh.
But
Thankfully, me either.
Yeah.
They make us look very good.
Yeah. So I would say it's great music, great night out, great date night.
Absolutely.
Great date night. But the kids will love it too. I've got my 11-year-old comes to everything, so he'll be here too.
People should come see Kiss Me Kate because of its comedy, like you said. If you've never seen a show within a show and all the hijinks that ensue with that, I mean, it's for all ages. Cole Porter's music is fantastic, as you said.
He sings some really beautiful pieces.
Oh my gosh, he really hid some gems in there. I mean, everybody knows the Showstoppers, but there's some really beautiful music. So there is that love story in there, and I think everybody can sort of relate to an ex or someone.
Yeah, an ex that you aren't quite over, which you think you're over, but you're not quite over.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's
a universal theme.
I think so too, from way in the past.
And now, for one final time, please welcome Avourneen.
By the banks of the Liffey, one evening I strolled. By the banks and the bridges I strayed, while I spied a bright vision all covered in gold, a glimmering girl by the cave. I have primrose and ivy and sycamore leaves. I have all of the charms of the day. So I cried to this vision before she arose and flew from the Liffey away. Every evening at sunset I wander alone. By the banks and the bridges I stray, and the bells of old Christchurch they spell out their drone as I seek that same girl by the cave. I have juniper berries and branches of ash. I hold all of the charms of the day, for to summon that vision all covered in gold to the banks of the Liffey I